How's it going, everybody? On today's episode, the Dangin gets a brand new TV and we do some next-gen gaming. Stick around. To give you a little bit of background, back in 2009, I purchased this nice Samsung 1080p TV. It's held up well for gaming, sports, TV, movies, you name it. And once I put it in the Dangin, I put it in the corner as like an ancillary second TV. That way I could use the projector for the main sporting event that I was watching, and then in the corner I could put like the secondary sporting event. Long story short, I believe it's time to upgrade that TV. So this is when I have entered the LG 49NANO85 TV. It's about the same size, so it's going to fit on the same mount. The difference in this particular LG TV is that it is a 4K TV. It has HDMI 2.1 for future-proofing any of the new devices coming out, including next-gen gaming, etc. And it can still handle all the standard content that I put to it, such as 4K movies, etc. As you can see, the packaging is relatively straightforward. You got your foam anti-static. You got your 2 feet for the TV to be put on a stand. TV itself isn't very heavy. I'd definitely say that one person can unbox this themselves, as you can see me doing in this picture. The TV itself has a very thin bezel, so the picture kind of goes edge to edge, as you can see here. It's not super tall, but the feet are on the wider side, so the stand itself is not in the center, so you're going to have a wide table if you plan on setting on some type of console or table like pictured here. If we move around to the back of the TV, you'll actually see the different inputs that are available. In particular, we have the HDMI 4K 120 Hz plugin, which is HDMI 3 right there, and it has eARC and ARC. There's also 2 USB ports. There's an AV in, there's an antenna for cable, LAN port, optical, and then on the side there's another 3 HDMI standard ports. The TV itself comes with a pretty cool remote. This is one of the remotes that LG has recently come out with their OS that has air mouse support, so it actually has a cursor, which I'll show you a little bit later in the video here. It also comes with it's like an auxiliary cable that plugs in to the back of the TV, but also has your composite inputs, and the red, the yellow, the white, and then obviously the user manual and the power cable are included as well. So you can get this thing booted up, and whatever type of connection you have, you can get it running right away. Here's a quick example of the air mouse, and we'll go through the settings that this TV actually has. As you can see, as I move around the air mouse, it's pretty easy, follows the movement that you have. Right now I have it on my PS5 screen here, so you can see that I put it into game mode or user mode, but there's several others such as cinema, cinema home, vivid, standard. Really just need to set it up to whatever you feel works the best for your room. In my environment, I'm going to go with gaming. There are several sound modes. If you don't have your TV planned to be hooked up to a surround sound system or a sound bar or something, it has several different modes that you can go through, get an idea exactly what you want to use it for, whether it's just watching TV in the background, sports, or actually have that movie sound with your Dolby controls, etc. As I zoom out just a little bit more, you can actually see the different settings that are available below. So along with the sound mode, it has your typical things like sleep timer, your network connections, and then other settings. So we'll go ahead and jump into some other settings here, get an idea of what picture modes it has, your aspect ratio setting, energy savings, and then even more additional. So you can set it to an eye comfort mode where it has more of a yellow. You have the HDMI Ultra deep color. I chose to select that in particular for my gaming. There's instant game response. I also put that on. I'll be playing with the PS5, so you'll see that. They have the AMD FreeSync. I don't think the PS5 actually supports FreeSync right now, but it has those settings. I'll go ahead and turn them on anyway in case it does. And then also you have your filmmaker mode, which is pretty cool because you can kind of see different movie content, and it'll recognize the darks and better picture settings for that. Once again, the sound settings, you has your availability for Dolby Atmos. I'll be using a sound system, so it doesn't really work for me. As far as your HDMI input, you can go in and go through all the different sound settings. Very easy to use menu. Let's go ahead and go down to all settings here at the bottom and get an idea of what else it has in store. So the next step I wanted to take you through with the LG 49NANO85 is how does it game? I particularly bought this TV because I like to have that little side TV as opposed to the projector where I actually can get some solid gaming in at a good refresh rate with some good HDR and color and really play some competitive games. The first game that I'm going to show you here is Rocket League. This is one of those games where you really need that fast motion, quick reflexes. And in this case, the game is super bright and has some really good coloring. So the other thing I like to point out in this particular video is just how nice this TV looks with this game in particular. Right at the beginning here, I'll just do a quick walk around of the cars themselves. You'll see that the yellows really pop, all the different contrasts, and the black levels are really, really nice. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the PlayStation settings and actually show you what the preferences come up for this game as far as refresh rate and information detail as to what the TV itself is outputting. So if you go down to screen and video and the output information, you'll actually see that it's 4K, 60 Hertz, and if you go down to save data and the game presets, you can see that the actual PlayStation 5 was set to performance mode. So let's go ahead and put that in resolution mode and then take a look at what the game looks like in high resolution. As you can see, it didn't change too much, but those colors still really pop, and the game itself just looks so vibrant on this particular TV. And remember, this is in game mode, so it actually dumbs down some of those settings. We'll go ahead and do a quick playthrough here so you can kind of see what it's like with 60 Hertz in game mode. I sped up the game just so you could see a little bit more of the colors themselves from this in particular. After this, we'll go back and make some adjustments to the game itself, such as the VSync, FreeSync, etc. And you can kind of get an idea how much faster the game itself responds when you make some adjustments. and the TV adapts to them. So we'll go down to settings, go over to video, and then when you go down below, you can actually turn on vertical sync. So let's turn that on real quick. We'll check out that there's some other HDR contrast that you can mess with as well. There's a side-by-side visualizer here where it kind of shows if you adjust the settings, what do they look like side by side. You can see the left-hand side of the screen goes a little bit darker and the right hand's a little bit brighter. Just gives you an idea what to expect. You can do it live in the game as well too if you want to see it on the actual screen as opposed to just the UI. So back to the game, you can kind of see moves a little bit smoother, I feel. I know that the PS5 really kind of handles most games with a really smooth setting, but for whatever reason in the game itself, Rocket League, when you make that adjustment, it really makes it much easier to respond, a lot smoother. No hiccups when actually playing the game at that point. Not to say that there were any in the first place, but this just makes it a little bit more smooth and noticeable. And here's one more example of turning the vertical sync off, just so you can get an idea of what I was talking about. You can see that it just has a little bit less of a frame rate or really in-tune smoothness. So for this particular game, I would leave the VSync on if you have the PS5 and you're playing on TV like this. So let's go ahead and pause the Rocket League gameplay that I was showing you here. Go back into the PlayStation settings just to remind you what it's set at. Video output, 4K, 60 Hertz. So nothing really changed. It doesn't have a 120 Hertz mode. Just shows you the settings here again inside the game. Like I said, turning vertical sync back on really made the game that much more smooth. And so much more fun. It's so easy to compete when you have a television that really handles gaming well. It's almost just like having a big monitor. So the next game I wanted to show you guys is one game that actually supports the 120 Hz HDMI 2.1 refresh rate. In this particular case, Borderlands 3, one of my favorite first-person shooters, has that support for next-gen gaming. So we'll jump in here. I'll kind of show you what the settings are in the game first. If you jump into the visuals control here on the home screen of Borderlands 3, you can see that there's two options, resolution mode and performance mode. So in this case, we're going to set this to resolution mode right now and take a look to see how the game looks. Then we're going to jump back out to the PlayStation menu so you can see what the PlayStation itself is actually processing as your video output. So in this case, it's still doing the 4K at 60 Hertz with the RGB HDR for resolution mode. So now we'll take a look at what that looks like in-game. But before we do that, let's make sure we go down to the game presets, and you can see that it's set to game default. So we're going to go ahead and put it in performance mode real quick so you can see what it's like once we go back into the game, and then you select performance mode again. Here we are set to performance mode. It looks like it actually dumbs down the visuals to about a 1080p output. But it should, once we go back here into our PlayStation settings, adjust it to a 1080p 120 Hertz output. Actually, it says 4K 120 Hertz. So, jumping back into the game, there you see performance mode selected. As you saw right before that, the PlayStation 5 performance mode was selected. It was showing that the output is 4K 120 Hertz. I do believe the game moves it down to a 1080p 120 Hertz refresh rate just to get it ultra smooth and much faster for your gaming. Here we went ahead and actually adjusted it back to resolution mode again. Okay. Now we're in resolution mode right here. So as you can see, walking around the map itself looks really good. The colors are super vibrant. The HDR really pops. You can see everything from your darks all the way to your super brights really show up. And honestly, the 60 hertz refresh rate is super fast. In my opinion, any game really running at 60 hertz is good enough for anything. Games perform really well when they have a 60 hertz refresh rate. Obviously, there's the need for 120 hertz if you really get into that competitive side of gaming. But for a game like Borderlands, 60 hertz is definitely acceptable, as you can see here. It really allows you to take advantage of the visuals of the game and still play it without any type of hiccups. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and switch to performance mode. Like I said, this puts it at 1080p. But it ups the frame rate to 120 hertz. I'll do a quick spin around here. You can really see that there is an adjustment in frame rate. I wouldn't say that it's super noticeable, but I would say that it is there. The color does degrade a little bit though. The speed increases, makes it much smoother. But when you look around at the different environments, you can kind of see that the reds aren't as bright red, the oranges aren't as bright, the darks aren't exactly the way they were in resolution mode. However, if you're really gunning for that first-person shooter, ultra-fast refresh rate, this is definitely the mode to leave it in, and the PS5 and the LG do a great job of doing that. Let's just go ahead and switch back and forth between the two here for the next few minutes and you can kind of get an idea. Once again, this is resolution mode, looks really good. Outlines are there, colors are there, really pops. Switching back to performance mode, you'll notice same things like I mentioned before. Super smooth gameplay. Really switches over quick too. The PlayStation 5 does a great job, and so does the LG, of just switching over those different modes. As you can see though, it just seems like it gets a little bit hazier, a little bit darker, definitely dumbs it down to like a 1080 or something in between 4K and 1080. Okay, so the next game I wanted to share an example for with you guys was one of my favorites, Gran Turismo. Now this is a racing game, so it really does help if you can, really enjoy the visuals of this, but at the same time you still want that reaction timing. The LG does a great job of doing this. The game only runs at 60 hertz currently. I don't know if Sony plans on doing an update, but for right now, you can just see in these images that the colors that this TV produces and that the PS5 allows with 4K HDR is super stunning, especially with a game that is as detailed as Gran Turismo. So take a look at some of the visuals that I went through, and then I'll show you an example of racing in an actual race so you can get an idea of how quickly it performs. Here's a shot of the interior. As you can see, everything really pops, super detailed. It's definitely in 4K, 60 hertz still, but like I said, most games running at 60 hertz perform really well. You don't need much more than that unless you're doing super competitive gaming, and in this case, this game's proprietary to Sony's particular console, the PS4 and 5, so everybody's playing at the 60 hertz, which means everybody's on a level playing field here. Alright, so the last game that I want to show you guys is Fortnite. It's not my favorite game in the world, but it does actually handle the 4K 120 Hz that Sony had promised when launching the PS5. I think it's a huge feature that a lot of people want to use. The LG does a great job of testing it, and in this particular portion of the video you'll see how to set that up. So at the beginning here, let's go ahead and take a look at the game loading up itself. I'll go into the screen and video information again. You'll see that it's only at 4K 60 right now. We will go down to the save data and gameplay settings. You can actually see where you can change it from resolution mode to performance mode. So I went ahead and did that, and now you can see some of the gameplay in that particular mode. So right now, as you can see, really bright, vibrant colors. The image itself is just fantastic. Switching over to resolution mode, you can see there's a little bit more reflection in the water, better colors in the sky. The game detail is just outrageous. It's, like I said, it's not my favorite game, but what a great job they did enhancing the color and allowing you to either have it in that complete competitive 120 Hz mode or that beautiful scenic resolution mode. So here we have some more gameplay footage of Fortnite. But jumping into the menu just to show you that this is when the 120 frames per second mode is on. So I'll go back to the PlayStation menu. You can actually see in the settings here that it is processing at your frame rates that Sony promised. If you jump up to 4K, and now you can see here in the settings 120 frames per second mode enabled. Get to the PlayStation settings, you can see right here it's running at 4K 120 Hz. Pretty cool. Really hope a lot more games adopt this. I think it would just be great for that next gen console to really take advantage of the power that it has. Alright, so here's another example of the 120 Hz turned off, and it's back to just 4K 60. Looks real good in this lobby here. Lots of brights, lots of darks. Here's just the settings itself, so you can actually see I have it turned off. And the rest of the footage is just going to be me changing between them both. So hope you enjoy. So what do I think of this TV? Well, it's really nice. It's super light. The colors on the TV itself are great. The 4K resolution is amazing. I think the HDR could be a little bit better, but coming from a 1080p TV that didn't even have HDR, this is more than enough to get me started reviewing different TVs and testing out the gaming ability that most of them have. The unit itself is a super affordable price range around that $600 price point. It has plenty of options to offer for everybody. They have multiple sizes, ranging all the way up to, I believe, 65 or even a higher screen size. But ultimately, I would give this a thumbs up. The TV works great for gaming. The WebOS itself is very snappy. The Air Mouse is super cool to use if you're messing with Netflix or going through your different apps that you have. And then it gives you multiple inputs. So not only can you just have it set up for your next gen gaming console, but you can also do your Blu-ray player or your Fire Stick if you want to, or take advantage of your Nvidia Shield, that has like upgrade to the picture. So if you want to watch some older stuff in a higher resolution, this TV can handle that. All in all, great TV, especially great addition for the Danjin coming from that 1080p. So hopefully I can share a few more things with you guys in the future, such as Dolby Vision and Atmos and other things that this LG Nano 85 has to offer. Thanks for checking out the video here in the Danjin, everybody. I will talk to you guys next time.